Hello again. You're going to be sick of hearing my voice, but this is what we're going to do. So this is Peter Galante once again.
And Cassandra Coop.
And so now we're looking at some examples of depth of field and how it really can enhance an image. So, and I want to point out that each of our assignments, you need to do 2 images. And this is real easy to understand here in the depth of field, because one will be an effective use of a shallow depth of field, which is what we're looking at right now. Essentially, only one row of the keys is in focus. The ones closer to us is out of focus. The ones further behind us are out of focus. So it draws our attention to the area that is really, really in focus. Okay, so let's pop over to the next image here. Right, here's another example of a shallow depth of field. What you're looking at are the LED. Actually, they're not LED tubes, but they're tubes from an LED television set. The student took the TV set apart and laid them all together, and now you only have the focus on that one tiny point in the middle. So that's kind of an interesting example. Let's go to the next one. This is a really classic use of a shallow depth of field where you have just one clothespin or clothes clip, whatever they're called, in focus, and then you have the repetition of the other ones going back. So this is another really nice use of effective use of a shallow depth of field. Let's go to the next image. Now we're looking at deep depth of field, where everything is in focus from the foreground to the background. I might point out that these are also student images. This happens to be a really, really talented student photographer who was here at Stout. And I asked him if I could, keep some of these images to show you folks. So this is really beautiful, deep depth of field. And he really works well in landscapes, but you're not limited to landscapes. So let's look at some more of his images here. Right, here's another good example of a deep depth of field with a rock in the foreground's in focus all the way to the mountains in the back. So you need a very small aperture to accomplish this, right? So you're talking about f/16, f/22 at relatively wide angle lenses to get this to happen. So that we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go along. Right, so again, here's another one where the log is in focus in the foreground and then draws you back to the background with that diagonal thrust. It's a really beautiful image. Let's go to the next one. Now this one is really cool because it combines a really deep depth of field with, of course, motion blur. So here we are at the Pacific Ocean in Oregon, and the waves are coming in and out. And I don't recall the exact time of the exposure, but we could probably look that up. And but it's really, so the little round stone at the bottom of the picture, and then the waves and the wave action draws you back to the craggy rock in the back. It's just a really stunning image. So, you're not, even if you're doing a deep depth of field, you're not limited to say, oh, I can't have motion blur in there. So this is what I would say, a really effective use of motion blur. When we get back to the motion blur images, I didn't mention this in the motion blur video, but I'm hoping that you guys, really use effective use of motion blur. We're going to ban ceiling fans and all that kind of cliche stuff. We're going to try to get away from cliches and try to think what would tell the story well. So let's go to the next one here. So this is also from the same photographer, and he's now at I believe this is Mecca, and this is the tomb of Muhammad. He was Muslim, and so this is really where the motion blur is telling the story. This is a religious ceremony where people are marching around the tomb of Muhammad, and so you can see that the blurred motion of them. So here it is in one picture, tells the kind of story of what's going on. Much more effective than a blurred ceiling fan. Now, all of the pictures that we show you, we're going to try to show you is student work, and we've had really great students do great work. And I think you don't have to be intimidated. You don't have to go to Mecca to take a picture. You don't have to go to Oregon to take a picture. It is possible to do that in town. You just have to be thoughtful in your processes. And it takes time. All of these photos will take time. This is not snapshots, okay? And that's really needs to be emphasized. All right. One more, deep depth of field, just stunningly beautiful stuff. I mean, these pictures are worth looking at. Again, and one more. So I think they're gorgeous. So anyway, I encourage you to think, and when you submit your images, we'll give you feedback, and we'll try to help you move along to this. These are the kind of images we all aspire to. All right? Ciao.